Japanese children consistently rank among the highest in the world for academic achievement, emotional regulation, and social skills, yet their parents aren't drilling flashcards or pushing early academics. They're doing something completely different, something so simple that when I learned about it, I couldn't believe we've been getting it wrong in the West for so long. I implemented 3 core Japanese parenting principles with my own kids, and within a month, I saw changes that years of traditional approaches never created. My daughter became more independent, more focused, and genuinely happier. The third principle literally rewires the brain for resilience, and the science behind it is absolutely fascinating. Hit that like button and subscribe because what I'm sharing today is backed by decades of research, and it goes against everything we've been told about early childhood development. Let me tell you what I discovered when I started researching Japanese parenting methods. In Japan, there's a concept called ikuji, which is the cultural approach to raising children, and it's fundamentally different from Western parenting philosophy. While we focus heavily on individual achievement, early academics, and independence, Japanese parenting prioritizes something else entirely. They focus on building what they call kokoro, which means heart or mind, but it's really about character, emotional strength, and connection to others. And here's what's remarkable. By focusing on these foundations first, Japanese children end up excelling academically anyway. But without the anxiety, pressure, and burnout we see so often in Western kids. The first principle is called ame, and this completely changed how I understood my role as a parent. Ame is the concept of healthy dependence, the idea that children need to fully depend on their parents in the early years to develop true independence later. This is the opposite of what we're told in America, where we push independence from day one. We celebrate babies who self-soothe, toddlers who play alone, and young children who don't need us. But Japanese parenting says that's backwards. A child who has their dependency needs fully met becomes secure enough to be genuinely independent. In practice, this means Japanese parents are highly responsive to their young children. They carry babies more, sleep near their children longer, and respond quickly to emotional needs without worry about spoiling. The science backs this up completely. Attachment research shows that children who experience secure attachment, where their needs are consistently met, develop better emotional regulation, stronger social skills, and actually become more independent than children pushed toward independence too early. When I stopped worrying about making my toddler too dependent and just responded warmly to her needs, she became less clingy, not more. She felt secure enough to explore because she knew I was her safe base. The second principle is about daily responsibility and contribution, and this is where Western parents often miss the mark entirely. In Japan, even very young children have daily responsibilities that contribute to the family and community. Preschoolers clean their own classrooms, serve lunch to classmates, and take care of younger children. At home, children as young as 2 and 3 help with real tasks, cooking, cleaning, and organizing. These aren't chores done for allowance or to teach lessons about consequences. Their contributions to the family unit give children purpose and belonging. The neuroscience behind this is powerful. When children engage in meaningful work that helps others, it activates reward centers in the brain and builds neural pathways associated with competence and self-worth. This is completely different from entertainment or even educational play. Children's brains are wired to want to contribute, to be useful, to be part of something bigger than themselves. When we don't give them opportunities for real contribution, we're actually depriving their brains of essential development. I started implementing this with my kids in small ways. My 3-year-old helps me cook real meals, not play cooking, but actual chopping with a safe knife, stirring, and measuring. My 5-year-old has responsibility for setting the table every night and feeding our dog. These aren't tasks I make them do. They're roles they're proud of. And what I noticed immediately was an increase in their confidence and cooperation. They weren't fighting me on everything because they felt capable and valued. The research from Japan shows that children who have daily responsibilities from a young age develop stronger executive function skills, better problem-solving abilities, and higher self-esteem than children who don't. Comment below and tell me, do your kids have daily responsibilities, or is this something you want to start? I want to hear where you are with this. The third principle, and this is the one that fascinated me most, is called gaiman, which means enduring difficult situations with patience and dignity. This isn't about suppressing emotions or being stoic. It's about building emotional resilience and frustration tolerance through experience. Japanese parents allow their children to struggle, to experience difficulty, to work through challenges without immediately rescuing them. They believe that experiencing and overcoming hardship in small age-appropriate doses is essential for developing strong brains. In the West, we tend to remove obstacles from our children's paths. We intervene quickly when they're struggling, we make things easier, we protect them from discomfort. We call it good parenting. The Japanese culture sees this differently. They believe that a child who never experiences difficulty never learns how to handle difficulty. And the neuroscience completely supports this. When a child faces a challenge and works through it, even something small like struggling to zip a coat or figure out a puzzle, their brain releases dopamine when they finally succeed. This creates neural pathways associated with persistence and builds what psychologists call self-efficacy, the belief that I can handle hard things. I started practicing this by stepping back more. When my daughter struggled with her shoes, instead of immediately helping, I'd say, "That's tricky. Keep trying, you'll figure it out." When my son got frustrated with a toy, instead of fixing it for him, I'd sit nearby and offer encouragement, but let him work through it. At first, this felt uncomfortable. My instinct was to help, to make things easier. But what I saw over time was remarkable. My kids became more persistent, less likely to give up, and more willing to try difficult things. They weren't afraid of challenges anymore because they'd experienced that they could overcome them. The research from Japan shows that children raised with Gaiman develop stronger prefrontal cortex functioning, which is the brain region responsible for emotional regulation, decision-making, and impulse control. They also show lower levels of anxiety and depression in adolescence because they've built genuine resilience through experience, not just positive affirmations. Now, there's a fourth element that ties all of these together, and it's about emotional expression and regulation. Japanese parenting teaches children that all emotions are acceptable, but there are appropriate ways to express them that consider others. This is taught through something called omoyari, which means empathy and consideration for others. From a very young age, Japanese children are taught to notice how their actions affect other people and to consider others' feelings and their choices. This doesn't mean suppressing your own feelings for others. It means developing the emotional intelligence to understand that your feelings and other people's feelings both matter. I started modeling this more explicitly with my kids. When I felt frustrated, instead of hiding it or exploding, I'd say, "I'm feeling frustrated right now because I've asked several times and I need cooperation. I'm going to take some breaths and then we'll solve this together." When my daughter was angry, instead of saying, "Don't be angry" or "Calm down," I'd say, "You're really angry. It's okay to feel angry. Let's figure out a way to express that feeling that doesn't hurt anyone." The combination of these principles creates something powerful. Children who are securely attached through ame, who have purpose through daily contribution, who have built resilience through gaiman, and who understand emotional regulation through omoyari, these children have incredibly strong neural foundations. They're not just smart academically, they're emotionally intelligent, socially competent, resilient, and genuinely happy. What I love about the Japanese approach is that it's not about more activities, more educational toys, more pressure. It's actually about less. Less intervention, less entertainment, less rescuing. It's about trusting that children are capable, giving them real roles, letting them struggle appropriately, and being their secure emotional base. This creates space for their brains to develop naturally and powerfully. When I implemented these principles, I also noticed changes in myself as a parent. I was less stressed because I wasn't trying to orchestrate perfect learning experiences or protect my kids from every discomfort. I trusted the process more. I enjoyed parenting more. And my relationship with my kids deepened because I was responding to their real needs rather than following some external standard of what good parenting should look like. I'm not saying Japanese parenting is perfect or that we should abandon everything about Western approaches. Every culture has wisdom and every culture has blind spots. But there is so much we can learn from cultures where children are thriving emotionally and academically without the levels of anxiety, pressure, and family stress we see here. The science supports these approaches, and my own experience confirms it. If this perspective on early childhood development resonates with you, please share this video with other parents who might benefit from this approach. Drop a comment and tell me which principle surprised you most or which one you excited to try with your own kids. And make sure you resubscribed because we're rebuilding a community of parents who look at child development through a wider lens and aren't afraid to question the dominant culture when research and wisdom from other cultures offer something better. Thank you for being here, for being open to different approaches, and for prioritizing your child's emotional foundation as much as their academic achievement. That's what builds powerful brains, and your kids are lucky to have a parent who understands that.